Welcome to today's ant update. First of all, I thought we'd do a quick look around at the outworld, see what's going on there. So one thing I'll say is I don't see workers out here very often, but I'm pretty sure they do come out because if you look here, they're actually starting to pull a cricket leg down. And not only that, I don't know if this is on the actual, what's it called, the clay itself, or they've put it on there, but there's actually cotton wool ball around there, but that could technically be on the clay, I'm not sure. Another thing I've just found, which is a bit problematic, is in this is where I keep the sugar water, and I had to replace it. As you saw, it went a bit syrupy, and since then it's gone down really quick, and I am actually quite shocked, but also it looks like there's some mould growing, so I'm going to go and have to give that a really good clear out and replace it again. I don't know if that's quite common with her sugar water, and I don't know if it's just because it's been mixed with the clay a bit, but that's a little bit annoying. Anyway, now into the actual nest. So now we're into the nest. Unfortunately this month there really hasn't been much happening, not as much as I'd hoped, and I think this is down to three possible things. So before we start, what I do want to say is compared to last month, I think maybe the larvae look a little bit chunkier, and also there was one pupa last month and that has definitely hatched or just disappeared, but I'm pretty sure it hatched. So that's good, at least things are still progressing and they haven't totally shut down. But the main thing that has happened, as you may expect, is they are sleeping a lot. Now they do move in some of this footage, which is handy, but a lot of the time they will just stay still. So I think it's maybe one of three things, maybe a combination. So firstly, it could be hibernation, though I still think it's too warm in this room to really get them to hibernate. But saying that, the queen did completely slow down last year, so it wouldn't surprise me if it's partially that. But in comparison to their wild relatives outside, literally relatives as well, because the queen comes from a nest in the garden, it's currently -2 degrees out there when I'm recording this. So what they're experiencing out there is a lot different to what my ants are experiencing in here. However, if you go lower in the ground, it will be slightly warmer than -2 degrees, so I don't know. Hibernation is one of the options. Another one is that they just sleep a lot. I will get into that a little bit more because I looked up about why they do that. But also, when it comes to sleeping, they tend to do short sleeps, right? So I thought, okay, I'm going to leave the camera on and I'm just going to leave it recording. I ended up with a half-an-hour recording of ants just asleep or just not moving. So that leads me on to the third reason they may have completely stopped, which is their exposure to light. Now I have heard that queens can get more like photosensitive because pretty much their whole life will be spent underground, so why would they be exposed to light? And whenever you expose ant nests to light, they will dig deeper and go further down. So maybe the light on the cameras just made them stop. I'm not sure. So with all that aside, maybe you guys have a better understanding. Maybe you can just let me know what you guys think. I've been trying to do lots of research on this, but I'm still not sure. But one thing I did find, and I'll leave a link to this article in the description down below, because there's not too much information exactly, like studies on why ants sleep or like how much they sleep. But I found this article and I believe it's on fire ants. So obviously these are different to the Lasius nigers that we have here. But, you know, I thought this was interesting. So they found that workers fell asleep at irregular intervals and not at the same time. On average, a single worker ant would take 250 naps each day, with each one lasting just over a minute. So the half-an-hour sleep, so-called sleep that my ants were having, I'm not really sure what's going on there. So in total, this equates to 4 hours and 48 minutes of sleep a day. So this meant that 80% of the workforce was awake and active at any one time. Now, the queen fell asleep at more regular intervals than the worker. And actually, because there are 3 queens in this test, they all fell asleep at the same time, like they were synchronized. Now, how many times a day do you guys think that a queen will fall asleep? I'll do a little poll here so you can actually go ahead and answer. Look at the different options. Put in your little vote now. So, the answer is... Have you done it? You better have done it. Okay, so the answer is the queen will fall asleep 90 times a day. So certainly not as many times as the workers, but she will sleep for over 6 minutes at a time. So that's a little bit longer, and in total that equates to 9 hours of sleep each day. And, you know, it kind of makes sense because the workers, they don't live very long, and certainly not very long in comparison to the queen. So the queen has to have a lot of rest, so, you know, she can live long, because without the queen, the nest is nothing. So, yeah, that was with fire ants. It probably varies a bit from species to species, but I thought that was interesting. It doesn't really answer the question why they are just stop moving every time I film. I swear, even when I was filming, like, earlier in the other months, they moved more, so whether it's the light, I don't know. Whether it's the time of year, maybe. All I know is that I think the nest is looking good, considering what's going on at the moment, and I tried to do a quick head count, and I think I counted 10 to 13 workers, but they do all bundle together, so it can be difficult, and some of them are always underneath the queen and stuff, so yeah, it's a little bit tricky. Also, one last thing, on that study, they do think that queens, when they get into really deep sleeps, they potentially dream. But you know, that would need a lot more research looking into, but yeah, so something new. But I hope you've enjoyed this update. I know it was kind of short and very brief and not too much happened, let's be honest. But this is nature and you can't rush it, you can't force it to do stuff. It is what it is. And this is how the ants are acting this time of year. So, yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video and goodbye.